Well, I'd like to welcome everybody to the AI seminar. My name is Pastor Benji Maxson. I have the privilege of being the senior pastor at the Highland Seventh-day Adventist Church in Portland, Tennessee. We're part of the academy, and we have the privilege, my wife and I, of being there for 3 years now. A little bit about me, so you kind of know where it's coming from. I'm not. I have a huge passion for technology. Kind of grew up with it, that kind of thing. But I've served in many different ways for our denomination. I've been 25 years in ministry now. I've been a communications director of Central California Conference out in California. That's where I came right before this. I've been a senior pastor. I've been a principal. I've been a youth director. And I've been a chaplain and Bible teacher. And so had the privilege of serving in many different aspects of our church. And this is something that's very passionate for me. Coming from the communications background, coming from just, what I think we can always do better. And when anybody hears AI, we kind of get scared, right? Like there's some of us that are like, all right. And then others of us are like, it's the black cloud of death. It's one of the first plagues that'll be upon us, drying up the river Euphrates. And, I think we're going to talk about it today, but I first want to say I am not the sole expert on AI and, this emerging technology. There are people way smarter than me. That being said, I do use it quite a bit in our churches, in my church. And if I can be of service to you, I already got asked by one of my pastor friends, if I can be of service to you somehow, come out, call me, text me, get a hold of me. I'll give you my number and contact information to kind of help you get into this or any of the technologies that I may talk about. If I say something that you don't know, write it down, and I can hopefully get to it at the end. We'll have a question and response time. And again, like I said, this is going to be kind of an open-ended one because this is an emerging thing. How, for those of you who have messed with AI at all, it's growing and emerging even in our own. After I did this seminar, I just heard of a new one coming out, Whitley Phipps. I don't know if you know him. Whitley Phipps is an African-American singer, Adventist singer, was a pastor, still is a pastor, I think. And he is actually putting out an AI platform himself to help people with scripture and that kind of thing. I can give you that information at the end. I did not include it in my presentation just because I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently about it, but I can give you a little bit information about it and to don't know how that is. We had Dr. Michael Campbell come to our church just recently. And for those who don't know Dr. Michael Campbell, he is one of our church historians. He's like the new George Knight or Cindy Tooch. He was in charge of the Loma Linda White Estates for a while, and he's now working for the North American Division as the Research and Statistics Director. Anyways, he says they are actually working on an AI model for all of Ellen White's writings and taking and uploading all of her stuff in an AI large language model, and that's going to be presented to us as well. So you will hear more and more of this as our church is trying to figure out how to use it and how to kind of grow into this emerging market as you'll talk about. I'm going to be talking about quite a few of them, but I want you to know something that even this presentation I did design myself, but I'm going to show you something just so you can see it. This is ChatGPT, and I'll talk about several different ones, and I'll come back to it, but I'm just going to show you what I did for the beginning of this. I got asked to do it, and I said, hey, I've never taught an AI seminar in an hour, so it's like going to be drinking from a fire hydrant, the amount of information out there and trying to hone it down into the area. So I just asked ChatGPT, I have the free version of ChatGPT, and I said, help me with an outline for a seminar on, and I quoted it, from brainstorm to Bible study, AI for preachers and teachers. Explore how AI can assist in sermon preparation and Bible study, from idea generation to lesson planning. Learn practical tools for research, organization, deeper insights while staying faithful to Scripture. This session offers hands-on demonstration and ethical considerations for using AI in spirit-led ministry. It is a 1-hour session. It spits me out this. Now, I'm not going to stick by it, but this gave me a framework because I've never taught this seminar before with all of this stuff. It gave me a framework instantly that, hey, 10 minutes on purpose seminar, all this stuff, why AI and sermon prep, brainstorming, all of this stuff. And it just gave me this bright basic outline that I then used, put in, and I started to manipulate in my head, and it kind of was a brain map for me. And so I just want you to know, even in doing this seminar, I looked at it and said, hey, what's the best use of my time? I have 1 hour. Help me consolidate it down and make the use of it. Now, I'm not AI myself, and so I have ADD, and I'm going to go off on rabbit trails, and you'll get to join me because you're in my seminar. But, you'll have this moment. So, the one thing Ellen White says, she says in evangelism, and I love these quotes. These are my favorite quotes. Whenever you as a pastor or leader gets criticism of new methods, these are the go-to quotes. This is about evangelism. She says, new methods must be introduced. God's people must awake to the necessities of the time in which they are living. God has men whom he will call into service, men who will not carry forward the work in the lifeless way in which it has been carried forward in the past. Lifeless way, that's a little harsh. Then she goes on in 105, there must be no fixed rules. Our work is a progressive work, and there must be room left for methods to be improved upon. And then closing, she says, some of the methods used in this work will be different from the methods used in the work in the past. But let no one, because of this, block the way by criticism. And I think this is the biggest key to understand that AI is a tool. It's a method, and I want you all to know, if you don't use it, and if you don't know how, that's fine. But the people you are coming in contact are more and more increasingly going to use it, and they will actually use it more and more to prove why Adventism is wrong. And I'm letting you know, most of you know this, that YouTube and all of these algorithms that are out there, more and more people are coming at us strongly with some debates of things. They know Ellen White more, and I won't get into YouTube channels and all that stuff. They know her better than we do. And if we're not prepared with good apologetics and good framework of understanding and a thought process, our evangelistic effort, we can say all day we want, hey, Sabbath ain't Sunday. That's awesome. But they're going to come at you with all of these other criticisms, and we need to be prepared. And by doing this, AI actually engaging in it and thoughtful back and forth, and we're going to talk to you about that as well as just basic AI is going to help you. Now, that gets further down this rabbit trail, but before we go down that, I want to talk a little bit about the problems. I want to first acknowledge there are problems with AI. So the first one is the accuracy and theological integrity, we call it. AI-generated content may contain misrepresentations of Scripture or theological inaccuracies. AI lacks spiritual discernment and does not understand divine revelation. Pastors and teachers must critically review AI-generated insights to ensure alignment with sound doctrine. Now, what that means is I can go into AI and I can type in, hey, what's 1 Peter 5:4? 1 Peter 1:2. And it'll probably give me an accurate version of it, right? I want to make sure, but that's pretty simple. Like even Google does that. And that's fine. But it goes into when you start looking at themes, and we'll show you some of these things of how it can take you down a rabbit trail of theological inaccuracy or even totally wrong ways, and you engage in it. And there's ways that you can make sure and guardrail by first obviously acknowledging its limitations and understanding what it is. My wife, when I was writing this, she asked me, she's like, why don't I just use Google for this? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, okay, I go to ChatGPT and it searches the web for me. And I'm like, no. AI models are not Google search engines. And I said, basically, if you go to ChatGPT and ask what's the best website for whatever, it'll do it. But it's like using a sledgehammer for a push pin. Do you get what I'm saying? It's totally overkill. The model is not, it can do that. It's not based on that. It's totally overkill. And so you will even understand as we go through this that, yeah, you can Google search in ChatGPT or any of the AI language things, that models that we're going to be dealing with. But it's really based for way more integration and involvement than just that. The second problem is authenticity and spiritual leadership. Over-reliance on AI could lead to inauthentic sermons or teachings that lack personal reflection and in divine inspiration. And I just want to stop right there. It can make us lazy pastors and teachers. I kid you not, some of the sermons and outlines it writes are amazing. And we'll show you, and we'll go through a couple of these models that are really good. And so you have to realize to go, hey, if I'm doing this, if I've had a bad week as a pastor or whatever, or if I will show you where I've done it for a school chapel. Not to give me a sermon or anything like that. But I for example, just recently I said, hey, I'm doing a chapel talk on how our words can hurt. Now, I have Logos, and for those pastors that know Logos, it's a huge, awesome program that is based for pastors, and it's really in-depth and resources and stuff like that, and it costs a lot of money, right? But I was like, I didn't want to go through my Logos. I didn't want to do all that. So I quickly went over AI, and I'm going to scroll back and forth and just show you. And I just said, I can't even remember where it is here. It may have been in my cloud. Let me search. Let me see. My cloud. Tongue. I wasn't ready to show you that. But anyways, I thought it was recently.
A search.
Yeah, I'll just search my tongue. There it is. Okay, this is what Bible verses that talk about your words or tongue. And I just wanted a quick, hey, give me all the verses like that. So my prompt, this is what's called a prompt, was Bible verses that talk about your words or tongue. And this is what gave me. It just gave me, here are several Bible verses that emphasize the power of words and tongue. And it went through power of words, wisdom of speech, control over the tongue, speaking truth and encouragement. And that was it. I was like, done. So I quickly, ready for chapel. Yeah, I could have gone. I know some of them out there, but I wanted to talk about a lot of them. So I quickly got it ready, and then I did my talk. I had my story illustration. I had my points I wanted to. But I wanted just a general outline. It was quick. It was easy. It was painless. But I just wanted, that was my prompt. Now, and I'll get into this a little bit more. I have actually trained, AI and I are friends. I've trained it. I've given it prompts to know who I am and what I do, what my position is, and how I want it to respond to me. And we'll get into how to do that. But it knows me, and I just engage in it, and we're not friends, it's not weird like that, but it's one of those things. But how quickly as a pastor then could I just simply go, hey, my over-reliance on AI, I don't have time for my sermon, so give me a sermon outline on whatever topic. And it will spit out a very good sermon outline on a given topic. And so as you have to understand that, over-reliance could lead to inauthentic. It's like me not praying about the Spirit. It's just me letting the Spirit move through AI. And I just hope it will, right? That's the thing. So there is a downside. AI can assist in research, but prayer, study, and personal revelation should remain central. We have to come to the text just like we would when I enter in. I'm like praying about, hey, God, like I want to make sure I'm engaging in this just like I do my Logos, just like I do when I open my scriptures. I want to make sure I am coming to it and realizing, hey, here are the beauties of it. Ethical concern. Are you presenting AI-generated content as your own work without careful vetting? That's why I told you what I did at the very beginning of the seminar is, hey, at the very beginning of the seminar, I got a general outline of what I should cover, just so I knew. And then from then on, this is all me. And this design is me, but then I'll show you some cool things that even on graphics may not be you. And I know last year, I think you did one with Gamma. Did you do it last year? Last year we talked about Gamma. If you weren't here, we'll talk about Gamma as well. So those are some problems. One other, biases and misinformation. AI models are trained on vast amounts of internet data, which may include bias and misleading or heretical perspectives. You just have to know. Now, I come from a space, and I come from that space in the sense of I don't believe there's the scary Jesuit on the other end of the computer spitting out all this false information. That's just me. That's where I come from. I also know that there is so much information out there that it could spit back some biased stuff. So when it spits back, I'm not going to copy and paste it into my sermon and be like, hey, this is golden. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to make sure. Then I'm going to go check the original source. But it's a tool that I'm using in my preparation and my study and that kind of thing. And I'll show you all as we get further in the presentation of how to actually import things into it so it engages in that you gave it. And it's not pulling from other things. It's just engaging with the document you're giving it, and it's going to help it outline. The second thing is theological biases from secular or non-Christian sources may skew biblical interpretation. If you ask, hey, what does Revelation 1:2 mean? You're not necessarily going to get an Adventist perspective. So a better prompt question you type in is, hey, what does Revelation 1:2 mean from an Adventist perspective? And even then, you want to check it, but at least it knows what you're doing and who you're coming from and what perspective it's going to go for. It's not perfect, it's not ideal, but it's going to give you that direction. And for those of you that don't have these huge library of resources, such as Logos or any of these other ones, like Accordance or these other Bible software programs, that even like Blue Letter online, blueletterbible.org or these other ones that are out there, there are great resources, but I will tell you, AI can even take it that much further, and we'll talk about that. Finally, pastor must verify sources, cross-check theological claims with Scripture, and trusted commentaries. And those are some of the problems. It's not the only problems, but those are the major ones that I see as we engage in it as faithful Adventists who want to be true to the text, who want to be true to our understanding, because Adventist theology and the lens in which we view Scripture is very different sometimes to other ones. Now, sometimes it's not like, hey, give me some Bible texts that deal with your tongue or your words. You're Christian, Baptist, whatever, it's going to give you that, and it just is. Okay? Any questions on problems or other issues that I've had so far? Okay, if you have them, write them down, and then we'll go. Uses, common uses that we're going to go into, and that I've used them for and other people have. Common uses for AI is for study, ask historical, cultural context, parallels, summary of common interpretations. This is huge. This is one area that I think all of us, whether you're a teacher, a Sabbath school teacher, whether you're a pastor, you can engage with AI in a way that's like, hey, tell me the historical background of the book of Romans. And it's going to give you this deep dive that you may not have access to in your library of books that you have. And it's amazing, and most of it's going to be accurate when you're asking for historical information. It's still good to check. Sometimes it makes mistakes. But it's going to be more accurate on that because you're not asking for a theological interpretation. You're asking for, hey, when was the Council of Nicaea? And what did they talk about? And what were the implications from that? What was Paul talking about when he was fighting Gnosticism and asceticism? What is Gnosticism and asceticism? When did that start? And it's going to engage in this, and it's going to give you more context and cultural backgrounds. And this is something that I think for everyday lay people is huge. Because again, if you don't have access to Logos and the powerful tools of that, this gives you access to that without Google searching, hey, what is this? And then you're going to get garbage. Because any SEO that put that tag, the metadata in there that way, and wants to get you off on a rabbit trail of awesomeness, you're going to be on, and it's just going to be out there. So anyways, those are it. Summary of a meeting. It's great. It can take a meeting and summarize it. Zoom has it now, where it can summarize what happened on the Zoom meeting. And it gives you just a quick feedback of what it is. Those are big. Slide decks, graphs, timelines, most visual things. This is huge for most pastors. If you're trying to show graphics on the screen, Napkin AI. And I'll talk about Napkin AI. Napkin AI is a new one that's out there. It's awesome. You put in this stuff, it spits out this graph instantly, and you have a graph that's ready to be brought into your presentation without trying to remember clip art or trying to remember getting numbers or Excel, taking that, merging it into whatever you're doing to make your graph, or going to some wonky website that's going to give you this funky graph that it's doing for you now, and it's so much quicker and easier to make these jumps. Text corrections. I'm telling you, this is one area. Our bulletins, text messages. I use it for letters to church members, like not individual church members. Those are personal. But if I'm writing, so we use a communication software. eAdventist has this well, but we use at my church, it's called Flocknote. Flocknote is our mass emailing communication tool, database, and it's a way that we keep track of all our who communicated when and all that kind of thing. And eAdventist is just dabbling in it. By the way, if you don't know that already, eAdventist has a way where you can text all your members that are in eAdventist, and it's free of charge. And you can also email. But anyways, back to this other thing. So we use Flocknote. In Flocknote, I can only send 160 characters out in a text. And so instead of me going 1, 2, 3, I'm counting it, I literally say, I need to make this announcement, and can you make it in 160 characters? It spits it out in 2 seconds. I copy, paste it, done. I've just made an announcement that it would have taken me 10, 15 minutes to try to make sure it fits. I'm hitting send, it's too many characters. I got to edit, I got to do, and it spits it out and makes it formal. It can make it informal. It can make it casual. It can make it sound more friendly. All of these things, and I'll show you how in a minute. But that is huge for us. Bulletin announcements. I literally say, hey, here's a bio. We're getting ready to have Dr. Pierre Steenberg come from Union College. He's huge into marriage and family, and he's doing a marriage and family conference for us at the church. He sent me this bio with, he has so many degrees, it makes me feel foolish that I'm not still in school, and I'm going to go back now, Dr. Pierre. Anyways, but he has all of these degrees and all these counseling degrees and everything, and he's done all this stuff. And I said, give me a 3-sentence bio that I can put on my announcement. And it took all of this, and I'll show you it in a second. It took it all, condensed it down, and in 1 second, I asked it to do something. It spits it out instead of me going, which one am I going to include? So I'll show you that right now. The bio summary, right here. So here it is. I said, help me with the 3-sentence bio. And this is what he gave me. Look at this. Look at this. It's still going. It's still going. And then I just copied and pasted it. It gave me this in 1 second. And all I have to do is copy and paste that and put that in the bulletin or put that in my announcement, and it's done. It saves you time. This has nothing to do with theology. This is an announcement for a flyer that we're putting out. Your secretaries, your office administrators, your spouse, if that's your one who's doing it, whoever's putting out announcements, this is the best way to do it because you can make it. So it says, it didn't say something. So I said, hey, this bio is for a marriage seminar he's doing at Highland Church. They already know what Highland Church is because I taught it. So then it spits me out this. I said, add something about his wife because it didn't say anything. And then it added something about his wife. And that was it. Boom. And then I said, then I asked it because we didn't have a title. And I don't really care because it's going on a piece of paper that people are going to take and throw away. I'm not going to invest time and energy in this. All I said is, what's a good title for the seminar? And it spit me out this, Stronger Together, Building a Christ-Centered Marriage. With just a bio, it spit me this. This took me 2 minutes to do. That would have normally taken us however long, and then you're checking spellings, and you're like, Dr. Pierre Steenberg, it's a different spelling, so I have to do it. And I said, hey, I need a short description. Now that I have this, I need a short description of the seminar. It spit me this. Discover practical Bible-based principles to strengthen your marriage and stronger building a Christ-centered marriage. Dr. Pierre Steenberg will share insights on communication, conflict resolution, and emotional connection to help couples grow closer to each other and to God. Whether you're newly married or have been together for years, this seminar will provide valuable tools to build a lasting, fulfilling relationship. Boom, that was it. Then I said, hey, I want a one, and notice I spelled description right. And it spit out this. Boom, that's it. And then I said, hey, focus a little more on dealing with conflict, because I sent it with Dr. Pierre Steenberg, and he said, hey, I'm gonna be focusing on conflict. And so I just told it to do that, and then it said that. And then I said, so then I have that. This was all for my announcement. Then I said, hey, help me make a 3-sentence bulletin announcement for the church. And then it sent me this. Join us for a stronger blah, 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 blah. I said, oh, I forgot the dates. So I said, with the dates, July 25 to 7 p.m. Saturday meetings, meetings, blah, 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 potluck provided. And then it spit me this. Sorry. And then that was it. I was done. And so you have this opportunity with this to say, I want, with text corrections, I can put something in. I can, like, even bullets announcements we make by hand or someone sends you. I have church members that, hey, I want to put this in the bulletin. And it's a hot mess, right? We have all had them. We may have all done them, right? And I'm like, no, not you. Obviously, you're awesome. But we've all got them, and we're like, I can't put that in the bulletin. Because A, it sounds angry. Hey, please, when you're done with potluck, pick up the tables, all you messy people. Whatever. We have the dear saints that, hey, don't touch the partition. Otherwise, you're going to burn in the fiery depths of Hades. Like, we have those. So I put it in, and I say, hey, this is an announcement that needs to be in the bulletin. Make it nicer. And it'll spit out this beautiful thing that I'm like, it makes sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so sound like the saint that God made him to be. Does that make sense? So again, we have these moments where it is actually helping us do editing, helping other people sound better. Another one I'll show you here. I had a donation request. I can't show it to you. There was a letter this gentleman sent me about a debt appeal. And it was a 2-page thing that was a hot mess. And he's like, hey, we at our church, we have a debt and we're trying to pay it down, right? And so I just said, hey, help me write a church letter asking for donations for the building project. I've attached some information about it. This was the letter. Help it sound friendly and engaging, encouraging active giving of church budget and the Mission Restore building project for the Highland Adventist Church. Also include a thank you for all those that have given this past year and the ministries we have been able to do. 2 seconds later, it has read this letter by this wonderful church member who wrote it, who sits on my finance committee, who doesn't know how to ask nicely for money. And it spits out this. As reflect on the past year, we are filled with gratitude for the faithfulness and generosity of our church family. Because of your giving, we've been able to support ministries like Adventures, Pathfinders, Evangelism. I didn't tell it to do this. It just knows about ministries we do because it remembers. Women's ministries, all of which continue to bless our congregation and community. Thank you for your commitment to God's work. As we move forward, we have significant financial need that requires our attention. Blah, 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 blah. Here it is. We'd love to pay this off. Here's our additional thing. Would you prayerfully consider how you can partner with us in giving? I hate asking for money. I'm not paid to ask for money. It's hard to ask for money. And it helps word it in a nice way. It literally shows where to give. It already knows how we give online, how we give all this stuff. And that's the end. Boom, done. In Christ, Benji Maxson, senior pastor at Highland. I didn't say, remember Benji Maxson. I didn't say I was a senior pastor at Highland. I just said, hey, just write this for me. And it spit this out. 2 seconds. So as you can see, it can correct not only grammar, it can correct the hard-headedness of our saints when we're trying to communicate in a way that's going to glean good response. There's some people that when they have AI Premium, you talk to it and get feedback on thoughts while they're driving. They engage with it, and you can talk to it and say, hey, tell me what your thoughts are. If I'm saying this, it'll say, well, it'll tell you the logic pane and like, hey, that's going well, or that's you're off on the wrong track, that kind of thing. Another common use. Ask to organize and create surveys and other documents. What I love about it is I can really quickly, by the way, it links ChatGPT and Google Docs, such as Google Forms, Google Surveys, and all of these things, can take this and it can spit out a form that you use. For example, I asked ChatGPT to give me a good building use policy for a Seventh-day Adventist church. Because we had a facility use, and I asked, and I said, hey, help create a facility use policy and a form that people can fill out if they want to use it. Then I put that into Google Forms, and it automatically populated the form for me, and I have now an online form that took me 5 minutes to create. And again, it's understanding how the models talk to each other. Helps with illustrations. If you need a story, you engage in it, you ask it, hey, I'm preaching about the love of Christ. I need a good Civil War illustration about love. It can create it or find it for you way faster than, and if any of you have ever looked for illustrations online, you're like, I need an illustration. And here's a puppy dog. And you're like, I didn't want a puppy dog. I wanted the love of God through the Civil War. And there's a puppy dog jumping on your screen. You're like, that's not what I wanted. So these are common uses that are used. It's not all of them. We have more. Research and study. Quick access to background information. I talked about that. Historical, cultural, linguistic context on a Bible passage. What's the historical background of Philippians 4? Summarizing theological sources. Summarize commentaries. Sermons. You can put your own sermon in. I've done this. I put in my own sermon notes and said, hey, help me with a closing. I'm on a brain block. Help me with a closing. And it spits out this beautiful closing. And I'm like, okay, now I need to make it mine because I want to guide the Holy Spirit. Like we all have those moments. Or I'll put it in and say, hey, I want to create a question and a response for my congregation. I want to put out a form so they can fill out during my sermon. I can put in my sermon and it will spit that out. And so it can summarize. Saves time while engaging with solid material. Cross-reference scripture. Quickly pull related verses, themes, or word studies. Give me verses related to living water in the Old and New Testament. You can ask for it. It instantly puts it out. It's Logos for free on this. And most of these models you guys aren't going to be using enough because they have so many times you can use it in a day, in a 24-hour period of time. But most of you aren't going to be using it to pass that free amount. And each one has different amounts. So these are great ways that you can use it even for your own. And I'm going to show you, final one is personal spiritual growth. This is awesome. Ask for reflection questions or journaling prompts on a passage you're studying. Hey, I'm studying Romans chapter 2. Give me reflection questions that help me to meditate on this scripture. And it will spit out these questions for you. And again, you want to make sure, is it saying, hey, meditate on the spaghetti monster? No. But is it saying, hey, this text, what does this mean? And you start to meditate on it. And it gives you questions to reflect on even in your own personal devotion. That's it, like engaging with a pastor or a friend that maybe isn't studying there with you. But you can get engagement at it at that level. And we're going to do some hands-on here as we go. So, I already showed you this, my questions. Now, here are the different resources, and we're going to go to each one, and we'll show you what they are. ChatGPT is probably one of the most common ones. By the way, if you want this, let me know. I'll give it to Joel, and I'll send it to you. So feel free, take pictures, whatever, and I can send you all of this stuff as well. ChatGPT is great for sermon preparation. But it's probably the most common one out there that many of you actually know about already, ChatGPT. Who has never heard of ChatGPT in here? Okay, you're awesome. There's a couple of you. Really? All right, a couple of you. All right. Huh? Yeah, you're a part of the 144,000. You're chosen. We're still working on it. We got 7 years. So yeah, ChatGPT is great. It can assist in teaching by providing illustrations, historical context, and discussions. ChatGPT and Claude are very similar. Claude is a little bit more elongated in responses. It's a little deeper in responses. It doesn't mean that ChatGPT can't be. You have to train it to be. But ChatGPT, its answers are usually more concise. Claude AI is great for summarizing concepts and that kind of thing. And we'll show you how to do it and what it does. And I'll show you the differences of how it spits out information. And they both kind of engage with different ways. But both of these are large language models that are really good. Yeah.
Is it similar, like I use ChatGPT, is it similar where Claude AI also learns?
Yes, Claude will learn you. All of the models are based upon that ability to do that. The models that I'm talking about are based upon learning to do that. So you engage in it. And so here is, and I didn't write this down and I should have, here is the best question to ask ChatGPT or any of your large language model, AI models, is once you write a prompt, it gives you an answer, ask it, help me write a better prompt next time. So what are 10 things that you need from me that are going to help you serve me better? and it'll actually give you 10 questions. You can say 5 questions. The more questions it knows about you, the better it's going to engage with you. So always ask it, hey, how can you better understand me? How can I get a better response from you? Give me 10 questions you need from me to make a better prompt for you. Does that make sense? So you're engaging it like it's a person. I know that's freaky. And then you're going, what time's my class? What time do we end? Time is nothing. Yeah. All right. Well, we got it. So I think it's 4:45 and the next one's at 5. So yeah, I just want to get some hands on so you can see us engage and you all can ask it questions and we can go. Napkin AI is a great resource. That's the new one. Not a new one, but it's one that I'm beginning to learn on that I just found about 6 months ago that I'm really loving in my sermon prep. If I have numbers or points, if I have 4 points that build off each other, I put it in there and it spits out this cool graph and it'll show you how it does it and that kind of thing. And Gamma is excellent at creating sermon slides itself. I can put all my notes in, put it in, it creates graphics for me. It creates the actual slide for me. And we'll show you how that. Danny also did a seminar on this last year, but it does an amazing job. And again, here's my whole point. So you're asking yourself, why would I need this as a pastor? Or why do I want this as a Sabbath school leader? How many of us have ever read a text, whether from Ellen White or from the Bible or from a book we read, and it's a really heady block of message, and you're just like, most of my saints aren't going to get this, right? And they don't even care, but it's really good. I can put it into AI, and I can say, help simplify this or summarize this to make the rest of the people understand. And it'll give you this beautiful quote. And I've done it so many times where I'll be like, the language that, and please don't stone me now. I'll show you the quote from Ellen White. And then I will try and put it in a different mode for them because some of the way she talks sometimes is hard for. We don't talk like that anymore. And so for young people, I'm dealing with academy kids. They're like, what? What is this? And so I'm trying, instead of sitting there explaining it, I go, hey, put it another way, I say. Put it another way. Boom. And I put up a quote that's similar to her quote. What's this? Oh, yeah. So he just took a picture of my presentation, and it's sitting out. It tells real life. It's analyzing the picture and saying exactly what's going on, and it's summarizing for him this slide. That's how quickly he just did that. It took a picture. He took a picture. Sorry, they're all around. You get what I'm saying? He took a picture, put it in there, and it summarizes the slide for you. It puts it in. So the other day, I was working with a church member, and I don't know if you guys, as you studied the lesson recently, we were talking about the rules of engagement, right? For those of you that had. And in my Sabbath school class that I was teaching, I teach one, we started talking about the fear of God. Like, our 3 angels message starts with what? Fear God. Yeah. Fear God and give him glory, right? But Jesus, when he was here, says what? Don't fear. And so we're sitting there talking about this, and church members, they're raising their hand, they're all this. So I was like, for myself, I'm like, man, I hadn't studied this out. I know one says fear, and we've tried to soften fear into reverence. And we've said, well, one reverence, the other means to be scared of, right? But the problem is it's the exact same Greek word. It's the exact same. It's not a different word. And so I'm like, okay, if we say just reverence, why can't it be reverence here? Don't reverence God. So you get what I'm saying. So yes, there's language rules and all this stuff for them, but this was not. So I went back and I sat and went through all my research and I started to study and I said, okay, and this is what I came up with. Can you see that? So it's this long, complicated thing. It's got Greek words in it. And I'm in a text chain with another elder friend of mine who are really theological. It's my theological bros. And I said, dude, look what I found. It was awesome. And I geeked out. I was into my heavy Logos, and I was getting into the, Kittles, for those of you that know, Kittle stuff. And I was in, all of this stuff. And I was geeking out on it. And I sent it to them. And my friend's response is, I don't have time. Because imagine this in a text form. He scrolled for like 10 seconds. He's like, I'm not reading that. So my other friend, who's big into AI as well, he works for a think tank. For those of you who don't know, Dr. David Beckworth, he's one of my members. Yeah, for some of you do. He works for a think tank for the Federal Reserve. Super smart guy. Uses AI all the time. He took it, put it into AI, and this is what it spit out. Something way simpler. And it explores the concept of fear in biblical and theological context, highlighting several key aspects. And then it talks about the Greek tragedy of fear versus the biblical understanding of fear. In Greek tragedy, fear is characterized by dread of the unknown future or fate. The biblical understanding differs significantly, being rather relational rather than fatalistic. I fear God because I'm engaging in something so holy that I realize my need, right? It's not because I'm scared of my fate that I fear him. I know my fate. The Bible has said, enter behind the curtain with full confidence. Hebrews talks about this. Jesus says, don't fear, right? Revelation says the judgment is in favor of the what? The saints. There's nothing to fear if you're a saint. Like the Bible is trying to encourage you to go, if you walk in this way, and if you're a citizen of heaven, as he was talking about, don't fear in the sense of what? Your fate. You have a known fate. And so then it goes on, it gives a bunch of, but it was a way simpler way. And my other person just looked at it, said, oh yeah, I can dig that. And it was a way simpler. And it was something that was, as you saw the text difference, this long thing with Greek, it can read Greek, by the way, and Hebrew stuff, and it gives all of this stuff, and it just spit it out. And so my friend was like, okay, I love that. That's way better. So that's one. The last one is the scariest one. The reason why I tell you, hopefully the volume works. Let me see. Let me make sure. I want you to hear this, and I'm going to do it for you as well. All right. I do a seminar on reading the Bible. And I have this long 25-page PDF that goes with it. It's a book. And I put it into what's called, it's this next one, excuse me.
Welcome to a deep dive that might just shift how you think about approaching the Bible.
Just listen.
We're going to be exploring this document called Highland Bible Paradigm Class. And it lays out like a totally unique way of reading the Bible.
Yeah, it's less about just like what the Bible says, but more about why it says it and how all of the internal logic of the Bible points to a much bigger picture.
Okay, so like right off the bat, this handout says, stop trying to find yourself in every story. And that's kind of the wake-up call to how we often read the Bible. Is this something you see pretty often?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so many people fall into the trap of like
they are
reading
AI.
Response, where it's all
this
about
is total
what a
AI.
passage
I
means to
inserted
me
my
personally
PDF.
today, you know,
10
but
minutes
this
later,
paradigm
it spits out
really
this
like
podcast
challenges us to look at the original author's
on my
intent.
PDF.
Like, what were they trying to communicate to
These
their
voices.
So instead of asking, how can I be
Don't
more like
glitch.
David when I'm facing Goliath?
They don't sound like
we should be
Matrix.
asking like, why did the author even include this story in the first place?
Exactly. And you know what? When you start asking that why question.
And so it's what's called Notebook LM. Now, Notebook LM, it's this. All of you have access to this. It's a part of Google. Free. It's called notebooklm.google.com. And what I've done is I took the Sabbath School Quarterly for this week, and I just clicked and dragged it in there. I just dropped it in. I imported it. And then it spits me instantly out this. Principles of Providence. It read it, and it gives me a brief outline. And this is where you as a Sabbath school teacher or a pastor who's like, hey, I need some good questions, or I want questions because, come on, church. Here's the thing. One of the things that we are dying in is our Sabbath schools. And the reason why is what we do is we read what's on Monday, what's on Tuesday. They just read it. They just studied it. They know the questions. You just read the question last week. Nobody wants to come and redo Monday, Tuesday. I'm sorry. I apologize. As a teacher, that drives me nuts. I'm like, no. I just read that. Engage with me. And so sometimes you're like, I can't think of another question. And so what this does, and the other ones do, I can drop in that PDF that is totally trustworthy. Well, I mean, from the Adventists, for, if the, anyway, we won't get into that rabbit hole, but relatively edited through trustworthiness, anyways. And I can drop it into any of these AI models, and this one is the one that does the podcast. And here it is, deep dive conversation, 2 hosts only. Now you've seen me, I dropped it in. It took me 2 seconds to drop it in, and I could show you how, but I'm gonna show you how quickly, and then we'll listen. So I'm gonna hit generate, and it says this may take a few minutes, no need to stick around. Okay, so we'll let it just populate as I talk, and then we'll come back to it when it's ready. But then what it does is I now can click on each of these and say, I want frequently asked questions from this study guide. And it goes, I want a briefing document. I want this. So let's go to the frequently asked questions. I can click on this and it gives me just frequently asked questions about Bible prophecy. Why are there so much disagreements and confusion surrounding the interpretations of Bible prophecy among Christians? And it comes up with that question. Comes up when it does the Bible intend for us to understand prophecy, or is it inherently incomprehensible? It came up with that question. And then through reading of that, the lesson, it then gives you answers. You can come up with your own answers as well. But that's one of them. That's what we would call the questions. Then there's a study guide. I can click on this and I say, hey, here's a study guide of the lesson it created for you. And then as it goes down, it gives you a quiz. It made a quiz for you. And then it gives you the answer keys for you. It took 2 seconds for this to happen. So imagine instead of reading, not that you shouldn't read, but as a teacher, what does Monday say? What is Tuesday? You engage in thoughtful consideration of questions they may not have thought of. We've all done it. But then your whole lesson is engagement in conversation based upon stuff they've read, but then you take it further and deeper than they have. Because that's every teacher's goal. And these resources are resources that aren't making you sit there for 2 hours going, I got to think of a question that's deeper, and I'm stuck with, because these questions are in my mind, I got to think of another question. Some of us are gifted in that, some of us are not. And this kind of helps level the playing field for us. So then you can also go to what's called the...
It's ready.
Oh, it's ready. Okay, yeah, it's ready. So you guys just saw that. It's ready. Now I have a 19-minute podcast based upon the Sabbath school lesson. It was ready that quickly, and let's listen.
Hey everyone, welcome back. You ever get that feeling like some parts of the Bible are kind of like no-go zones?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, you should probably understand them, but they just seem so complex. Mm-hmm. Well, today, we're wading into one of those areas, biblical prophecy. And let's face it, even for folks who love studying the Bible, prophecy can feel pretty intimidating. I mean, you walk into a Christian bookstore and there's like a whole section dedicated to different interpretations. It's a lot.
Right. It's a bit...
What if on your websites or in your Sabbath school emails to new believers who don't have a clue how to read a Sabbath school quarterly, you sent them this podcast at the beginning of every week and said, hey, this is what we're going to be talking about next week. There's a 20-minute podcast, and you have it linked on your website that people can go to and know what they're going to engage with without speaking isms of Adventism, not knowing how to engage in the quarterly because our quarterly is very Adventist, and that's okay. We are Adventist, and we should. But if we are open to people coming in who don't know our language, who don't have biblical knowledge, we baptize people. They may have figured out Sabbath ain't, Sunday ain't Sabbath. I almost said Sabbath ain't Sunday. But but you get what I'm saying. We have these people who are babes, and we baptize them, and they're still trying to figure all this out. And we give them a podcast that they can listen to that's engaging. You heard them. I listened to it, and they're awesome. Yeah.
Just a quick thing.
Yeah.
You can make it any language you prefer.
Oh, yeah.
And I sent this to some of my old friends that used to be Adventists. And guess what? In Brazil,
Yeah.
they start coming to church.
Yeah. Because what we're doing, our goal, remember Ellen White says the goal of evangelism is by any method we can. And so it's thinking of going, how can I operate in a mode and change language and engage with people in ways that is going to make it more accessible, because that's our goal. So what if Sabbath school became more accessible to our people that, okay, you didn't have time to read through every single day. Do you have 20 minutes? You could listen to this 3 or 4 times during the week. You could come to Sabbath school and be ready to engage in a thoughtful, considerable way that makes you a part of the lesson instead of just by. Yeah.
This is really interesting because, I mean, I can go over the Sabbath school and review it in 20 minutes. And that's kind of what I do when I'm in a rush.
Yeah, don't admit that. But yeah, we got you. Yeah. No, I got you. No, I just don't, yeah.
But for most of our members, many of our members, they don't read on that kind of level.
Correct.
We have some members that don't even know how to read.
Correct.
Where this would be very beneficial.
Where you have a 20-minute, you're not having to do it. You put it out. You put it on your resource page on your website. By the way, I know my it's at AI, but all our website, our church website should be resource page. We should be filters of a bunch of stuff out there, how to find Bible studies. They should not have to ask. They should be able to know, or go to our website. There's resources page. There's all this stuff. And the reason why is because we want to put it to where people don't have to ask. Because here's the thing, and this is a side note just for a second. If people have porn addictions, nobody's going to come into your church and be like, hey, I have a porn addiction. Most of the time they're like, hey, I have a friend who has a porn addiction. We're like, okay, we got you. And most of us don't even know that the Adventist Church has resources from that, so we're trying to scrounge up. We do not do a good job of funneling all the resources that are out there. So I think it should take it on as a church, as us as pastors, to try to do that. I was talking to a gentleman just recently, today, about that, to say our website should be. Now, it doesn't mean they have to be, but what you do is you then turn this is ours, and I'm not saying you have to do this, but you go, here's your Bible studies. Boom. All of these are online. They shouldn't have to go in. Your church members should be able to print off all the lesson studies, anything. We have Lifting Up Jesus. We have the It Is Written Bible studies. We have Voice of Prophecy. We have the Adventist ones. We have the Blue Letter Bible. We have Bible Info. These are all places they can go to get, especially Lifting Up Jesus and It Is Written and Voice of Prophecy, are ways that they can get free Bible study resources and do it on their own. Then you go down to freedom and recovery for addicts. We have the In It and Out resources for spousal abuse and abuse at home, sexual abuse. And then we have the Adventist Learning Community, which also has resources on there. Then we have the new Freedom to Love pornography addiction recovery. Directory of counselors, of Christian counselors, that most of us as pastors, when we move to a district, we're dying for Christian counselors. We don't have that. Here it is, another one called Gateway to Wholeness. And so you have all of these resources, and then you have your apps for phones that they just click on and instantly download these apps, whether it be the Olive app, the Ellen White app, the Sabbath School Quarterly app. Then you have down here all the other resources that we offer and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, that's separate. But AI can help populate this when you're asking, hey, I need resources. What are they? It gives you a population list, and then you start to link and make it all to where people can access it. So, let's go back. Do what? Oh, Gamma. Yeah. We're going to go through Gamma, and I'm going to show you Gamma. But I'm going to go back to, we're going to now do some hands-on modeling for you all. We're going to engage in it. I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to ask you guys to engage. You ask questions, I'll type it in, and we'll see what it does, okay? So the first one, this is a great question that some people ask. A lot of people are coming out and asking, hey, what's with the book of the Maccabees? So I just said, I wanted to see, we have Logos and all that stuff, and I have all this historical knowledge, but I want to say, hey, what is the book of the Maccabees about? It spits me out this. I'm asking for historical contact. I didn't ask if it's in the canon, right? I didn't say, hey, is it inspired? I just asked, what is it? This is a question, right? And then it tells me these books are found in Catholic and Orthodox Bibles, but are not included in Jewish or most Protestant. And I said, okay, why are these books not found in Protestant canons? It's a good question, right? So then it gaze. Look, it said it's a great question. It likes me. I know. So then it says the book of Maxson are found in most because of the way the biblical canon was formed during the Reformation. Then it gives me, they are a part of the Apocrypha, blah, 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 all this stuff, but were not included in the Hebrew Bible. They are included in the Septuagint, by the way. And again, I'm not saying we should quote book of Maccabees, but I'm saying a lot of the disciples, the apostles, when they wrote a lot of the New Testament books, quote from the Septuagint. They were very well aware of these books. So that's the question we're getting engaged in. I am for younger audiences. They're not asking what day is the right day to worship or what happens when you die. They're asking what's the problem with evil, the hiddenness of God. They're asking, hey, why does your Bible don't have verses or do? What is the book? They're asking more, I wouldn't say deeper questions, but further questions, because of the resources they have access to now, are far outweighing the resources of the questions we're answering today. And AI can help us with this, because some of us don't even know that's a thing. Then you go down, and I just said, okay, I then asked, how was the Bible formed? The formation, huge question, and a super important one. Then it goes into, here, boom. It starts giving me dates. It starts giving me stuff. So if you're writing a sermon, and you're like, on the Bible, and you don't have Logos, or if you're teaching a class, this can give you a general, again, idea. I'm not saying it's perfect. You want to check them. But it gives you, hey, this is what's happening. Books of Exodus were written by various authors, collected. The Torah, which is the first 5 books, was solidified around 500 BC. The Tanakh, you heard him say that. The Hebrew canon, this is language that's out there. Then you have the Septuagint, which is the Greek, was translated around 200 to 100 BC. Gives you kind of a big, broad thing. And then it gets into the New Testament. And there's a big misnomer of when the New Testament was canonized. And they all think, the Council of Nicaea, that's when they picked it. Because there's a big thing against the Bible right now that a bunch of powerful people, the Roman Catholic Church, picked it. No, we know that. And even this didn't say. It says the early church used a chorus set of texts, but wasn't universally agreed on. We know that. That's true. Let's not hide stuff. Let's not act like this isn't true. But acknowledge, it wasn't the Council of Nicaea. In fact, the key milestones as it goes through talks about the different times and when it was engaged in. So this is ChatGPT. This shows you the level of it, and that's one of them. Anyways. Here's a good one. And it just gave me this development. So that's one of them. I'm going to show you any questions on ChatGPT. That's one a lot of us use. Yeah, go ahead.
Does it do image generation?
Yes, it can. Usually image generation, it can. As you get higher up in your pay level, it'll do it better and that kind of thing. I will say the image generation is sometimes you have 7 fingers or 2. Like, it doesn't do well sometimes, but in other ones it does. Not anymore. It's helping.
They uploaded a couple weeks ago.
Oh, just a couple weeks ago. Okay, because I just used it like a couple weeks ago, and one guy had like 6 fingers and like 1 toe. Anyways, so they're continually upgrading this, but yeah, it can do image.
Midjourney, you have to pay for Midjourney.
Yeah. And that's where Gamma, a lot of these, if you use it a lot, you will have to pay at some level. But I will tell you, like, if you as a church said, hey, our office is going to have a subscription, most of them are around $20 a month or $200 for the year. I think it's worth it because the amount of time you're saving with resources and that kind of thing, I think as a church, it's one of the best things you guys can invest in, if only for making bulletin and church announcements. I think it should be way more powerful. Again, sledgehammer to a thumbtack, but it really helps us because, again, it's professional. I'm going to show you Gamma, for example, right? Gamma. So I'm going to go, here's a sermon outline I just asked it to do, right? I just said, help me write a sermon outline on communion. I did it for you guys. Instantly it does this. I'd be happy to carry it. Here's a structure you can use. It gives me introduction, communion, blah, blah, blah stuff, and then a conclusion. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it. Oh, then I just asked more. I said unpack. What's the practical implications of it? And I'm going to paste it into Gamma. And I said I want it to make a presentation. And then my default is traditional because I want it 16 by 9. And I say continue. And I want it medium. Right for, I could say whatever. I'll use that. That's a good prompt. All images, format good.
Reverend.
Yeah, reverent. Yeah, whatever you can put. Because you can sometimes get images that are like wonk. I'll say continue. Then it asks what color design. Like let's do. We want clean and white. I don't like that style, so whatever. It doesn't matter. And so it has all of these different styles, and I'm like, all right, I want to generate. I just put in the note. You saw what I put in. I copied and pasted. It's populating text. It's populating images. It's populating graphs.
And
And this will project directly on your screen. You don't have to go like into PowerPoint or anything like that.
I can present it if I want to, or I can download it and put it into PowerPoint or, Proclaim or Pro Presenter or whatever you have. It can just be a thing, and there it is.
So you could go in and edit it.
Yeah, I can edit it if I don't like it. Close that out. I don't want it to show me. I don't care.
Ask.
Huh?
Just ask.
It's not. It's making me because it's my first time with the new page. I had to set up a new account because I was out of my credits. So, anyways, so here it is. Obviously, I can edit it. I can go on it, but it's now made like, hey, I don't want that on there because it's a sermon. Obviously, I'm preaching it, and then I can edit it. I'm like, and there's my sermon. Okay, that's too. It's a little too wonky, right? So then I'm like, I can click on it. I'm like, I just want a person kneeling, right, with a Bible.
Oh, it gives you the prompt?
Yeah, it gives you the prompt, and then I'm like,
That's great.
and now it's redoing it, and there it is. That's way better. Woo! I don't want a little too. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. So you're just like, it's just reading a prompt, and it's not like, and there you go. You have it. Person praying by the Bible, shared identity, blah blah, all that stuff. Living out communion. Look at that. This is just, and it. You see, I took, and this is why I can make lazy pastors. You saw how quickly. Give me a sermon. Give me a presentation. Happy Sabbath.
It won't make lazy pastors. If pastors are lazy, they will stick on this only.
That's true.
You can, instead of 7 presentations, have 10.
Correct. Yes.
So it's like, I know what you mean.
Correct. Yeah. You can become very ineffective and very
Exactly.
disconnected from your message because you're like something else read it. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, just kind of brainstorming here, if to use this but not in a lazy manner.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I can see all of that.
Yeah.
But to do your studying yourself, you can use AI to get the information that you're needing to study, but you're digesting it yourself. You're not letting AI do that for you.
Correct.
And then you're taking, and then you develop maybe your outline, or maybe even a manuscript.
Yep.
Let it help with that.
Yep.
To brainstorm on it, but then you could use that, put your presentation
Yep.
together.
I've written stuff. I've written a quote I like that I came up with, and I'm like, hey, make this sound a little softer.
Yeah.
And it does. And I still might work, but it's making it sound. Yeah. And so again, yeah. Go ahead.
Can this then interface with that other one and create a podcast of this?
Yeah, if I downloaded it, I could kick it into that. It would then engage it. Yeah. There's a lot of things possible here. Yeah, go ahead.
What's the learning curve like for a person who's a novice? What does it look like?
It depends on how comfortable you are with technology. It's actually not that high because you can ask it how to better engage with it, and it'll prompt you how to make better prompts. So you have to look at it. And this is the biggest tool to learn from, is realizing it is as good and useful as the prompt you're asking it and what you've trained it to be. If you're treating it as an internet browser explorer, again, it's going to be so much more, as you all saw.
Benji.
Yeah.
Do you have perplexity over there?
Do I have what?
Perplexity.
No, I don't. I didn't have it now. There's way more out there. These are only some of them. Obviously, one thing I wanted to show you is where you can just drop in, again, pictures. He did it. You dropped in a picture and you engaged it at that level. But the prompts we ask it. So one thing I like to do. So we're running out of time. Okay. A new chat. Somebody give me a prompt that you want to try. Just somebody. Now you're on the spot.
What's the best way to reach the Appalachians?
To what?
Best way to evangelize the Appalachians.
Oh, I'm killing that spelling. Appalachia for Jesus, right?
Yeah. And I get amazed now.
Okay, so then it spits out to effectively reach Appalachia with Christian message. I'd recommend understand the local context. That's huge if we all know that. Partner with existing local ministries. Address local needs. And here's what's a good way. Watch this now. Design a social media strategy for an evangelism meeting we have in 2 months.
Even if you misspell.
Yeah, I misspelled anything. Here we go. Boom. It starts to give me a strategy. It becomes your PR person. Create, introduce, share testimonials. Post 2 to 3 times a week. Create shareable graphics. Week 3 to 4, start building each interest. Start a countdown. Behind the scenes, preparation and prayer. Short video testimonials. It becomes your social media expert. None of you have it. Most of us don't have social media experts or communication. It becomes that by me just asking, design a social media strategy for an evangelism meeting we have in 2 months. And it gives you an outline that you can sit down and you can go, okay, now help me with this.
And it'll help you.
And it'll help you. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that you can even take your sermon and you can say, create 3 or 4 social media posts for Facebook.
Yes.
And then you can use those on your Facebook page
Yep.
to reach your church members
Yep.
or the public.
Yep. And what you guys have to know, if you don't know this already, a blurb about social media. You have to be posting 2 to 3 times a day to break through most algorithms. And so you need to know that to go, if you all have your own social media sites as churches, to break through the white noise out there is an incredible amount of intentionality. Now, you can send out ads, you can pay for ads and that kind of thing. Ads are different. But if you are trying to become trending, if you want to randomly pop up on a church feed of someone, on a feed who's not a follower of you, but even someone who's a follower, it's way more because of the algorithms and how they work than just simply, hey, I put a post up last week and we're still rocking with it. Anyway, yeah.
If you can get your church members on board.
Yep.
And say, go like every single
Like,
post.
share, subscribe, stars, thumbs up. I can't, if you have a YouTube page, get all your church members just after church, go and like it, even if it was the worst sermon ever. But even now, that's a whole other seminar for another time. But anyways, we only touched the tip of it. I just want you to know, the biggest things are engage with it. Don't be scared of it, because you can always not use it, and you're back where you are anyways. The best thing can happen, it can become useful and actually a tool that actually helps you better communicate as a pastor or a local leader, helps you become a better teacher of our message, because you can take in any of our stuff. I put in Adventist theological journals and said, hey, make this easier, a short synopsis for our church members. And it spits it out. Anyways, have a wonderful time. If you have more questions, let me know.